it gives me an enormous sense of relaxation and creativity and empathy. I think creativity and empathy go hand in hand anyway, so it helps me on a number of levels. Gentleman Smoker is more of a social media persona, really portraying and challenging the stereotypes of what a cannabis smoker is today. Not so much of the hoodie, lazy layabout in the room, more of a professional family man, a valid member of society, and that's what it aims to prove. Personally, yes, a breakfast of champions for me, as we know, is maybe having a small smoke in the mornings with the coffee and some breakfast. However, I have to understand my role during the day is more creativity and building and maintaining relationships. These things are a lot more easier to do like that. I mean, if I was having to operate heavy machinery or maybe take big responsible decisions during the day, I would probably leave the Breakfast of Champions for a day off. In fact, yes. I mean, it's got a bit more honed as the years have gone on, but yeah, I think everybody's mainly aware of the difference between sativa and indica. One is more cerebral, it gets the creative juices flowing, so to speak, whereas an indica is more of a body high, and it's more in relation to do with pain and relaxation. And yes, I manage them both through the day. Obviously a sativa in the morning gets me very motivated, gets me through my routine planning of the day, and really makes me productive. Always, for the past few years, Jack Hadder. For reasons, I suppose they're quite personal. It's got a very, the terpenes involved are very spicy, very earthy. It has a very good balance of being cerebral and calming at the same time. And I just find it really good. And I like the person that it's named after. He's one of the best activists, in my opinion, of the last few decades. I'd say yes, personally. I think, let's be honest, Maltese people are always ready for anything that's thrown at them. They really handle everything well. I've always had a saying amongst my friends that the Maltese can make you or break you, and that's the same for industry, creativity, everything. If that passion is there, then yes, I believe it can. You have everything here. You have the passion, the education reform to actually set that up, and hopefully now we have the younger generation coming through the professions that will actually implement that infrastructure. There's a lot of good things cannabis has done for me, to be honest. I mean, I think the most profound would be the treatments of my children. It's quite well known that my daughter had cancer. She had a Wilms tumor on her left kidney. We treated her with chemotherapy, surgery, and full spectrum cannabis oils. I believe it was the trifecta saved her. There wasn't one key factor there, but the cannabis oils was definitely a key. We've also found that CBD within certain autistic traits can help with focus and things like this. So especially for my son as well, I would like to be able to treat him with these CBD oils. Apart from that, I'd say it gives me an enormous sense of relaxation and creativity and empathy. I think creativity and empathy go hand in hand anyway. So it helps me on a number of levels. I think it's about perspective as well. I think you can look at anything that most people will think is positive and find negatives. Although that's skirting around the issue a little bit, there are certain negatives that surround cannabis. This can be abuse of the drug. Certain strains nowadays that have been genetically modified that we wouldn't normally consider cannabis that you or I could grow on our balconies are very strong, and they can cause psychosis with certain people. So there is that moderation and common sense level to be had here. As with most substances, alcohol, anything we engage in and enjoy. There's been many good experiences, but one of the ones I'll never forget was, I must have been about 22 years old, and I was still living in the UK at the time. We were at a festival. There was a lot of friends and colleagues there all at the same time. There was a few bands that I was into back in the day, the Verve, Ocean Colour scene, proper indie 90s kind of things. And it was, I think we all have them certain memories where we kind of have those rose-tinted glasses from our childhood. That was one for me for sure. It was one of the things that stuck in my mind, and I was very high that day as well. There's a theme park called Alton Towers in the UK, and it has some pretty extreme rides on. I mean, I'm not an action man by any means of the sense. And once, I think you know these things, once you're in, you're locked in, there's no going back. And I was high, and I was quite young, I was 19, 20, we were on a college trip, I believe. And I started getting paranoid, my heart rate went up, and the anxiety was there. So, as we know, marijuana can help with anxiety, but certain times, in certain situations, it can exacerbate it too. This is why it's important to know what the strain is, know what the dosage is, which we touched upon before. But yeah, that was totally the wrong time, the wrong strain, the wrong dosage. I just wanted to get out. And it was one of these ones where you're hanging as well, man. I was just strapped in, the heart was going, and all my peers and friends, and of course when you're 19, you're trying to show off a lot as well. Yeah, that was a pretty humbling, bad experience for me that day. I don't think we're 100% cured of reefer madness. I think we can just look at the media in Malta alone and the comments and social media that reefer madness is still pretty much ingrained in, I'd say, certain mindsets, not certain generations, but we have to understand that when we have propaganda thrown at us at young ages without knowing that that's propaganda at the time, that sinks in. We have problems in society throughout this when dealing with racism, sexism, and we're going to have this with marijuana and cannabis too. If we look at the campaign starting from the 30s all the way through to the 50s, it was pretty bad. I mean, we even had the president saying that I think smoking the equivalent of one joint was taking the same amount of radiation that had been on Bikini Beach where through the atomic blast testing, which we know is absolutely ridiculous. And that was the president of the United States at the time. So I think we have a lot to do. I think it changed with the internet, with culture, and with science. There's a lot more research being done now by a lot more scientists, and we're seeing that facts overcome any kind of propaganda. I think in relation to the black market, you're never going to get rid of it 100%. There's always going to be a black economy. I mean, whether that will be in cannabis, bread, or coffee at certain points in certain times, these kind of things will happen. If we talk about how legalization can combat that, I think it's fairly obvious if we look at Uruguay, Portugal models where crime rates have gone down, dependency on harder drugs have gone down. Let's not forget that cannabis is being used to treat more addictive substances such as heroin, methadone, and alcohol. So with legalization, a framework, a taxation, a support system, yeah, I think the black market will suffer, and I think that society will benefit from the number of ways previously mentioned having a positive effect rather than a negative effect, and having the financing to do it too. One is a substance, the other one is derived. One is naturally from a plant, the other one is derived from a plant. It takes a lot of process to get morphine and heroin from a poppy plant. There's a lot of ways going through, and that's actually changed whether it goes into your body as well, the way it's metabolized. The illicit market is, especially with Class A's, and even in pharmaceutical establishments, there are different gradings with the strengths, addictions, and side effects, and cannabis is not in the same category as cocaine and heroin. I wouldn't have the knowledge to say that, but with cannabis, for sure, the benefits far outweigh any kind of criminalization.